Hi everyone, my name is Gideon and very welcome to this week's episode of City Ripple. This week I would like to show you just an approach that I use to pick the foods that I'm going to include in my ketogenic diet. Now, I think there are three reasons why people fall off the wagon when it comes to their diet. The first one is that they don't necessarily understand the principles of the diet that they're on, whichever diet that is. So they just dive in, they promise themselves they will eat exactly what they're told, but then because they don't understand the wider context a little bit more, they make mistakes as opposed to losing willpower. And for that, I think this book is really a good start. I spoke about it last week a little bit as well. The Real Meal Revolution, which is written by three South Africans, amongst which is a very well-respected Professor Tim Noakes. So to understand the principles behind low-carb and ketogenic diet, this is a good place to start. But there are loads of books out there around ketogenic diet. Then the second reason is I think people commit to eating foods that they really don't enjoy. If you don't enjoy broccoli, I don't think you should include that in your diet. If you don't enjoy nuts, you shouldn't include that in your diet. And the approach that I've used to get around that is I went through this book, and there are three lists, which is the heart of the book. Green, orange, and red list. The green list you can eat as much as you want. The orange list you should just be mindful around quantities. And then on the red list are foods that you should avoid completely. So what I've done is I've been told I'm going to a deserted island and I can only pick from the green and the orange list the foods that I can take with me. Obviously, you're going to pick your favorite foods. And then what I've done is I've divided those foods into two different categories. First category is food that doesn't take any preparation at all, so you can just snack it whenever you're hungry or feel like it. And then the second category is the food that takes a little bit of preparation or like a lot of cooking time. And then also on top of that, I'm taking some supplements, which I would talk about in a fair bit. And then the third thing that makes it difficult for people to stick to a diet is if they get hungry, which is normally when you grab a sandwich from the shop or some sweets in the drawer, and that is where you make mistakes. So I'll just quickly take you through the foods in front of me on the table and talk a little bit about each one of them. In this category to your left is the food that doesn't take any preparation at all. And that is important because these are the foods that will save you when you get that craving for sweets or for a sandwich. If you have this in your bag, you'll be fine. You can just quickly snack and it will sort you out. First one is avocado. If you're on a ketogenic diet, this will become your staple. I eat 2 eggs and avocado every single morning for breakfast. Very quick, you just cut it, salt and pepper with a spoon straight out of the skin, and you're ready to go. Tomatoes is maybe not for everyone a food that they want to eat just like that, but I like them. I'll eat one almost like an apple. And then I have nuts, blueberries, some hard cheese, a little bit of soft cheese, and biltong. I will do a complete video on how to make biltong because it's very easy to do and it's much cheaper than going to the shops to buy it. Just a word of caution though, for blueberries or any berries and nuts, you have to kind of be mindful around the quantities. The problem is that when you get hungry, it's easy to eat, instead of a handful of nuts or a handful of berries, to eat a whole punnet full of berries or a whole pack full of nuts. So what I do, and I also do it with pork scratchings, probably something you've never seen in a diet video before. Really good for you, half protein, half fat roughly, and very, very nutritionally dense. So I pack them into little 30-gram bags like this. Just chuck it in my bag, and I always have some with me. And you can do the same for the other foods as well. If you put them into pre-weighed snack bags, you're good to go. Then over here I have food that takes a little bit of preparation. I have some meats, two cuts that I always fall back on as a staple, just because they are much cheaper and they are very, very tasty, is the pork belly and the bavette cut, which is a steak, a beef steak. Really, really nice. The secret with the bavette steak is that you shouldn't overcook it. So if you like your meat, like I do, blue rare or even medium rare, then that is a really good cut to go with. And it's about half the price of sirloin and rump. So if you total that up over the course of 3 months, is actually quite a big saving. Then, very easy one in the evenings, you get home, you just don't want to cook, is a pack of smoked salmon. They last for a long time, and it's always good to have some in the fridge. Then I also, for vegetables, I do buy fresh, but I also make sure that I have some spinach, some broccoli, and some cauliflower. All three that I really like. I always have those in the freezer. Zucchini I normally buy fresh, and I eat a lot of it. And again, these are foods that I enjoy and I like. Yours might be completely different. It's about the principle of picking your favorite foods, your desert island foods, and then making that work for you. Another bit of a curveball that you probably also haven't seen in a diet video is bone marrow. Bone marrow is absolutely amazing food. It's pretty much just fat, but there are minerals and vitamins and all kinds of goodness in bone marrow. And you can make gravies from it, put it on your other food. You can roast it and just eat it with a spoon with a little bit of veg. Absolute gem of a food when you're on a ketogenic diet. Then over here are some of the oils and butters that I cook with. I'll do a whole episode on it because there are a couple of tricks behind them. But in short, I use quite a lot of butter. I use not as much, but I do use a little bit of coconut butter, especially for fish. I'm not crazy about the coconut taste in all my foods. And then olive oil. I've got a really good olive oil that I use called Morgenster, and they've been voted one of the best olive oils for, what did they say, 12 years now. So I really like that. For the secret with olive oil is, and I'll dig into a little bit more detail behind oils and the smoking points and when to use which one, is that you shouldn't really be heating olive oil too much. It breaks down and it creates free radicals that are not good for you. So I drizzle mine on salads. You can heat it up a little bit, but you definitely don't want to see smoke coming off the pan. For high heat cooking, for example, steak in a pan, I use avocado oil, which you don't need a lot of it, and this lasts you quite a long time. But avocado oil is really good for high heat grilling. It has a bit of a taste to it, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it much more, for example, than coconut oil as a taste. Eggs, very obvious. I guess everyone will pack that into the desert island picnic box. And also to make cooking, especially if you're working and you're coming home and you're tired, I find these are lifesavers. So I get these from Waitrose. It's just frozen herbs. So basil and ginger and jalapeno chilies. You just grab a handful or a bit and you chuck it in your food. You don't have to peel anything. It just makes it 10 times easier. Again, I think the trick is to try to remove any friction and annoyance. You're already switching your diet. You already have to eat different foods than you used to. Struggling to cook it is not going to do you any favors at all. Then lastly, I have some, I don't go crazy on supplements. 3 of these supplements are only because I'm doing strength training as well, so it doesn't have anything to do with a ketogenic diet, which is just a whey protein, creatine, BCAAs. These 3 are well researched. You can research it on your own time if you want. Those are the only 3 training related supplements that I take. And then lastly, I take krill oil, which is the same as fish oil. It's just much more concentrated, a bit more expensive, but you get a lot more nutrients out of each capsule than you do for normal fish oil tablets. And then lastly, it's just good old good old vinegar. I do cider vinegar. I just take a swig of that every morning. And you will see some spurious claims that it aids weight loss, which I don't know if that is completely true. But one thing that is well researched is that it helps you to lower your insulin resistance. And for something that's cheap and in your drawer, in your cupboard anyway, you just have to take a swig in the morning to get the benefits. Anyway, that is just a quick overview of the types of food that I eat on a ketogenic diet. I hope that you take two things out of that. The one is that these are foods that you can really enjoy. It's foods that I really, really enjoy. There's nothing boring about it. There's nothing bland about it. And some of them will probably surprise you as even being on a list. So for example, pork scratchings and bone marrow on a diet. What can be better? And then the second one is, I implore you to just read a little bit more about whatever diet it is that you're doing, so that you get the principles behind the diet, and then you will see the decisions on what to eat and what not to eat comes much simpler, rather than just following a list of you have to and you have not to. And then also the approach, the desert island approach. If you can choose your own foods using that approach, I'm sure you'll be successful in sticking to the diet much more than eating foods that you hate. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you have friends that are struggling with getting the right foods for their diet, please send it around. Subscribe at the bottom. Until next week, thank you very much.